Alright, welcome to another installment of the Friday Night Podcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about Bernie Sanders, Khrushchev's rights to power, and maybe even more. That is if I can think of something else. But, if anything you all know about the presidential race, it's started way earlier than it should have. But of course, everyone's trying to, whatever. But everyone's, been making predictions, who's actually going to get the White House. And I have to say, it's not going to be Sanders. He'll support U.S. imperialism and everything, but for whatever reason, it seems like Hillary will get the Democratic nomination, based solely on the fact is that the Democrats are currently trying to rally around her at the moment. If anything, it will just be between Trump and Hillary. And the Democrats have been very weak this year. Name at least 3 other of the Democratic nominations. In fact, you could probably do the same with the Republicans. But I feel it was already sharpened from before, as soon as it started, and as soon as Trump got into the race. Jeb looked awkward on stage, like he didn't know what to do with himself, like he was trying to tap into that young, hip generation, you know what I mean? Had something for this. Well, anyways, Sanders is not going to win. Actually, fun fact, when I first started looking into socialism, Sanders is actually kind of like an introduction, I guess you could say. He really got me into it because, this guy was standing up against the system, which, he is the system. He's not openly going out of his way to, how you want to say, hang on. Sorry about that. If you watched the last podcast, you'll remember me saying the walls are paper thin. I can hear everything my neighbors do. So, where was I? Will be someone else joining you on the podcast. Also, hold the mic closer to your mouth. You're somewhat quiet. I don't have a mic at the moment. My mic broke, so I'm using my shitty, what do you want to call it? Built-in mic. Hang on. But no, Matt, no one else is going to be joining tonight. I'm still trying to figure out the whole configuration with Google Hangouts, because I would just do it off of, the Hangouts on Air thing. But then it wants to broadcast to my very, very dead gaming channel, which I'm getting my PC fixed. At the moment, I'm using my school laptop in order to, do everything at the moment. So, I guess I'm going to do that. I want to do some Fallout New Vegas playthroughs and some other playthroughs and stuff. But back to Sanders. He's not getting elected. By no means is he getting elected. Really, I think what the bourgeoisie is really going to try to do is get, someone like Trump in there to do their dirty work, or just to try to continue the or get someone in there that wants to continue the Obama administration, a la Hillary Clinton, being the horrible neoconservative she is. Let's see, I got some notifications. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to make this podcast really long. I'm not going to draw it out. I'm still dealing with my depression, so I got, I'm shit. I just threw my pen. But no, I'm going to try to, just keep this short. Go to bed, and maybe work on a video tomorrow. I'm also working on my 4th book. It's going to be a free ebook. It's my hiatus writings, as I like to call them, from when I couldn't make videos or anything. I was still writing and everything, so there's that. Let's see. Let's see, hang on, I got something from the chat. Thoughts on M3W? I don't know what you were talking about. Drisk Crab, do you intend this podcast to be an interactive thing, or do you or a strict script to follow? I mean, I can, I'm thinking about, doing a Q&A at the end on, giving my thoughts, might make it longer, but the same instance, I don't want to make this too long, I want to get back to bed. I also gotta do some job searching still, so. Oh, Maoism, third worldism. Okay, that's what you meant. For the most part, I support third worldism, but I don't really support it in the way that Jason does. I mean, to me, he comes down a little nihilistic at times. That the first world can't get anything done, which it's hard to organize or anything. But the thing is, stuff's coming together with Trump. People are actually like mobilizing. Like, I know it was a Sanders, it was a predominantly Sanders thing, but people were actually getting together to fight a right-wing populist, which is something in itself. But yeah, I mean, right now we need to take the time, try to organize the left into the Marxist movement. And also, yeah, Drisk Crab, I'm going to, if you want, I'll do questions throughout the podcast. Okay, now this is something that I had a good talk with a fellow comrade on Khrushchev's rise. And this is something I've had baking in the back of my mind for a while now. It's the idea, hang on, let me, okay, oh, wow, that's loud, hang on, I'm adjusting the volume. Alright, it's the idea that, what am I going to call it? That, Stalin would have in some way, would have been, like Khrushchev. I think he died at the right time, because, hear me out on this one. Stalin was really, really winding down the Soviet Union. I mean, they'd been attacked ever since their existence, ever since the Civil War and everything, you had like 5 different nations going against the Bolsheviks and backing the whites. Excuse me, I have strep throat. But, and the thing was, is the entire nation of the Soviet Union was just worn down. I mean, if you look here, I'll pull it out. I have from my portfolio on Stalin. But I have 2 papers right here, and one's called The Berlin Crisis, the UN and the Anglo-American Aggressive Policies, Churchill, and the other one is Berlin Disarmament, Stalin-Truman Meeting. And basically it's just Stalin saying that, we're trying to make peace with the West. Because the West had always been attacking the Soviet Union, or actually just the capitalist powers in general, because you got to think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like 2/3 of the world fell to socialism at the time. I mean, that was just Russia alone. When the when when the Russian Socialist Federation or whatever was established. And really, Khrushchev was just this continuation of it. But I don't really know the full extent of anti-Stalin propaganda at the time. But Khrushchev may have been using anti-Stalin propaganda to try to please the West. I mean, try a different. They're probably just trying to try a different route so that they can get the West off their back. Just for like 5 minutes. Of which they didn't. I mean, one of the main reasons the CIA funded the Taliban was not just because there was a communist government, Marxist government, excuse me, but because they put pressure on the Soviet Union because Afghanistan is right on their border. I mean, the Soviet Union all throughout its existence had been attacked. I mean, even today, I mean, Russia still has to put up a lot of crap with NATO. I think they're still subjected to Strategic Air Command or whatever, flying their planes over Russia. And correct me if I'm wrong. Fucking shark throat. Matt Simmons, would you rather have Cruz or Trumpy as president? Well, I mean, so if we look at the Great Wall of China, okay, China never had any undocumented workers. Never came in. They never had any undocumented workers from Mexico coming in and, doing all that stuff he says they're doing. And that's why we need to build a wall, just like China. But if we get Cruz in, he would probably just take the world's nukes and life would become meaningless. Full nihilist, man. I would stand by Cruz if he got elected and for the full nihilist campaign, man. I stand behind it. In reality, I mean, no real candidate I see is better than the other. They're all as bad as the other. All right. Any questions? So I'm running out of things to talk about real quick. Anyone? Come on. Ask me anything. Anything. The Green Party, I've been watching them. I watch C-SPAN every now and then because it's better. I know it's still a lot of bourgeois politics. Like for example, when Black Lives Matters kicked off, I remember they were like changing the names of like war heroes to like civil rights activists. Like completely like go full reactionary, whatever you want to call it. But the Green Party won't change anything. I mean, it's just social democracy and democratic socialism. It's just capitalism with a human face. There's nothing really to it. I mean, the only real progress we'll ever get is under Marxism, Leninism, Maoism. Anyone else? Questions? Questions all around. Just gotta type it in the chat right next to the video, right next to the stream. Come on, I got 8 people here. 7. Ooh. And Shango's here. Guys, anyone ask a question? If not, this is going to be really short. I'll 10-point. Like, it's just Bernie Sanders bullshit right there. Just pandering to what the masses think socialism is and not giving you actual Marxism, Leninism and trying to build it. or anything. Let's see. Dris Crab. You say Stalin wanted the West off their back, but if Stalin started a war with them in order to bring the Cold War to a quick end, would that have been? Yeah, it would have been a completely dumb idea. I mean, you have the threat of uh, I think it was called complete annihilation, where the theory that the entire Cold War, the entire use of nukes was like just really stupid. Um, in the sense that one side launches the nukes, the other side launches the nukes, and everyone's going to die, unless you're opposed to this and you believe that extraterrestrials will come down and establish socialism or something like that and help the third world. What country is most likely to have a revolution with the best, and will do the best with a Marxist government? I don't know. I mean, things are really developing and quicker than I thought in this year. I mean, if it's true that all these communist parties are coming together in Turkey, I mean, that's something. But I'm also still hopeful for the Naxalites and the New People's Army. Right now, I know the New People's Army is in a alliance with a third positionist group. But I mean, Mao kind of had to do the same. He had to align with other factions, form Kuomintang. I think that's how you pronounce it, in order to drive out the imperialist forces, in order to establish the People's Republic of China. Like I guess you could call it a united front. Or would that be a popular front? I can't think right now. I'm a little out of it. I think I'm getting a fever. Okay, any more questions? Come on, I know someone out there has a question. Asking myself, I'm thinking China might be able to. But then, yet again, I mean, all their economic power comes from, trade with foreign countries. I mean, and them exploiting foreign labor, U.S. Countries exploiting the foreign labor of cheap foreign labor. So I mean, it's asking a lot. I mean, the developing, second world, which I do believe exists, the nations that have the potential, like nations like Mexico, that have the factories, they aren't necessarily, rich, but they're developing. You know, if anything, it would probably be a country somewhere in Africa. Because if you stop exploiting Africa, Africa becomes rich. We have the diamond mines, we have salt mines, and we have all these resources there that we're taking from there. If um, if what do you want to say? If American imperialism falls, China, if first world imperialism falls, we have China will implode or explode if you want to explode or what you want to call it, and it'll take a while for it to recover. But if anything, something from Africa would emerge with all the wealth that would come out of there. Slow crowd. I mean, guys, I don't have a lot to talk about tonight. I mean, it's going to be a slow podcast. Shit. What would need to happen inside the U.S. for a revolution to start? Um, Actually, if you want, I can quote Lenin himself. Hang on, pull out the foundations of Leninism. I have had this say for a while. Um, Foundations of Leninism. Here, this is exact Stalin quotes is from Left Wing Communism, which I think I have bookmarked somewhere. Let's see if I can't find it straight from here. Now, I can't find it straight from the book, but this is Stalin quoting Lenin straight out of Left Wing Communism in his essay, The Foundations of Leninism. Quote, the fundamental law of revolution, which has been confirmed by all revolutions, particularly all three Russian revolutions in the 20th century, is as follows. It is not enough for a revolution of the exploited and the oppressed masses should understand the impossibility of living in the old way and demand changes, but it is essential for the revolution of the exploiters to not be able to live and rule in the old way. Only when the lower classes, quote unquote, do not want the old way, and when the upper classes cannot carry on the old way. What do you think of Rahovia and YPG? Shit. I don't know much about them. About Rahovia. I've only heard a little bit about it. Just my Facebook feed. I've meaning to look. There's a lot of things I really need to look into right now. But the YPG, that's the Kurds, right? National liberation. Let them fight. Let them fight for their own independence. And they're also really good fighters against ISIS. I mean, they're a really good ally. And especially if with the way that the left is forming within the what do you want to call it, within the Middle East. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, you can get something going there. You can overthrow U.S. imperialism there. But I think the YPG, correct me if I'm wrong, are anarchists. So I mean, and every anarchist organization has failed because they can't organize. They have a problem with centralizing their power because then they see that as authoritarian. So I mean, it's going to be left up to the Marxist-Leninist parties that are currently there. Let's see. Cavell, I think a complete collapse is going on. I've been tweaking a theory that I've had in my head for a while, and I'm not going to completely elaborate on it because at the moment it's in this complete bullshit stage. But I'm seeing like any crisis within the third world going on will immediately, right now will just completely collapse. U.S. imperialism. Because we're living in a post-industrial society, meaning all the industry has moved out, and we're all reduced, mostly like service jobs and whatnot. Is the Bolivarian Revolution done? Every bit of news I hear doesn't sound good, but everyone seems to say it's optimistic. My good friend, I'm good friends with Caleb Maupin, the journalist. Not too long ago, he went to a meeting in South America, and it's very well alive. He got to meet with the vice president of Bolivia. I think it's Bolivia, and he says he's very optimistic about it. I mean, the leftist movement there is still going strong, and believe it or not, from what I hear, the leftist movement in Venezuela is still pretty strong. People are pretty pissed with the new government because to my understanding, they're trying to introduce neoliberal reforms. What do you think would happen if a major alliance of African countries is for? What do you think would happen? What do you think will happen if a major alliance of African countries is from socialists or capitalists or socialists? I don't know exactly how to phrase that. Let's see. How am I supposed to? How do you want me to put that? Is from capitalists or socialists? Like, is the alliance capitalist or is the alliance socialist? Is that what you're asking? Ben, Is the alliance capitalist or socialist? I mean, I don't really get how you're trying to phrase that, man. Well, okay. Um, since you're not responding, um, I would rather prefer a socialist alliance because, of course, that unity there. But the thing is, none of the African countries are able to fully become independent because, of course, we got that imperialism factor. It will have to be the people themselves and not the governments who are the neo-colonialist governments, or whatever you want to call them, that are there, that are in power, that are puppeteering everything, that are making an alliance impossible. Like, yeah, they might meet for a summit or something in Africa, but what they're really talking about is how to how to appease the first world. But the thing is, capitalist or socialist, it would be the step in the right direction, because then once they overthrow the neocolonial system that's in place there, what will be able to happen is they can start determining their own markets, start determining their own destiny, and be able to move forward into communism. Who's your favorite non-communist or non-Marxist philosopher or historical figure? Right now, I'm very, very tied between Albert Camus and Friedrich Nietzsche. I mean, I'm getting The Will to Power real soon. But right now, I'm reading the Freudliche Wissenschaft, the gay science. It's pretty good, but so far, my favorite book by Nietzsche would have to be, what is it? Oh, Beyond Good and Evil. I think it has the quote, what is it? Oh, when fighting monsters, make sure you yourself do not become a monster. But Nietzsche or Camus? Albert Camus. Camus, he's an existentialist, so he's okay. But he started off as a Marxist and I guess he started forming his own philosophy. Um, his greatest work, in my opinion, it's called The Myth of Sisyphus and Other Writings. And in The Myth of Sisyphus, what he does is he resurrects a Greek myth, and this Greek myth is of a king called Sisyphus. Well, Sisyphus said, "Well, I am more benevolent than the gods," and the Greek gods, didn't like that. So what they did is they punished him for it to magically roll back down. And Camus, basically, he compares this to average life. He says that life is absurd. Things that happen just out of the blue that break our existence. Like for me, a bad breakup. Or for someone, a death in the family. Or just something completely random that completely just shakes your existence. He says this is absurd. And he says that life is completely meaningless. But and then he goes on to asking the question of suicide. He says that suicide is the most important question that we should ask ourselves. Because think of it, if we're not living, how can we contemplate political theory? How can we contemplate philosophy and all this other stuff if we're not living? So what Camus says is that we need to chain ourselves to this absurdity and make works like write or something. And basically, by doing this, we have revolted against the, if you will, the void, this nihilistic void that doesn't give us meaning, because we're giving ourselves meaning and working and building ourselves and living as humans. Your favorite flag? My favorite flag would have to be the GDR flag. I mean, because I've always had an interest with my German heritage. Steiner is German Jewish. In fact, I've been looking through my family history, and from what I can tell, and I don't know exactly when they came to America, from what it looks like sometime after World War II, so take that as you will. But rich, middle-class German Jews. And I've always had an interest in Germany. So ich kann sprechen Deutsch, ich kann lesen Deutsch, und ich kann schreiben Deutsch. I can read, speak, and write Deutsch, German. All right, I got a question for my audience. Have any of you written anything? How have you contributed to the movement, to the workers' struggle? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone answer that? All right, since I'm not getting an answer, how about I have not? Should I? Well, it depends on Cavell. Are you a Marxist or not? If you're a Marxist, then you should, write something. If you like me, it's hard to find a job around here. It's hard to find a job around here, so I don't have a car. I mean, the greatest thing I can do around here is watch the corn grow. I mean, that's what Ohio is. It's fucking corn. I mean, we should change our license plates motto to "Welcome to Ohio." Once you've seen the corn, you've seen everything. But I mean, if you can't do anything, do what I do. Run a YouTube channel. Write something. Do something. Agitate in your local community. Um, no, just long reactionary comments. No, I'm still a senior in high school, but I do plan on radical action. Good on you, Luparius. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but good on you, man. Just keep on going. Keep on fighting, man. There's nothing, because the thing is, corn. Yes, revisionism. Revisionism is all around me. The thing is, the fun thing is, Khrushchev actually came around here, and I think this is the Corn Belt. He came to the Corn Belt, and what he wanted to do with Ukraine, he wanted to make his own Corn Belt. That's the whole. That's where the whole corn thing comes from. He came to America because of all the fucking corn, and he was like, "Hey, we should do our own corn thing." I'm still learning. I'm still slightly learning. You should probably look up. Older than you, I'm years behind. You should look up just some basic Marxist study guides. I would go Mallet. Let's see. For my grammar, you can see now. I was doing something when you asked me what I meant. Older than you, but I'm years behind. You go on Reddit. I run a Reddit for this YouTube channel. No one follows it, but I still post there because I did it for the 500 subscribers that I got half a month, half a year ago. Actually, no, because this channel's been going really quick. But anyways, no. But I actually got banned from full communism. I wasn't thinking. I posted something really reactionary about women. I wasn't thinking. And that's the problem with internet communism is that, why should I debate you when I can just ban you? And then, of course, we get this whole, you're creating, you're by trying to fight, the monster, you become the monster yourself. By trying to fight the cancer, you've only let the cancer spread. You can't just, go off and ban people. But yeah, I go on Reddit every now and then. In fact, I've been posting on there for about, 2 months? A long time after I got banned. And I still haven't gotten an upvote in months after I got banned. I'm trying to see if I can repeal it or get a new Reddit account, but I kind of like the Reddit account I have set up right now. I also can go on Reddit I often go on Reddit just to see what's happening. I like to check up on the news. The communist subreddit really picked up. When I got there, it was kind of dead. Then it really started picking up. Torch Room, Wow, Broadcasting, never seen a broadcast before. On YouTube, that is. Well, if you want, you can ask me a question. You can ask me any question you want. I was just actually talking about how I got banned from there. Anyone want to mention how I got banned? Actually, no, I'll do that. I'll do that. So like I just said, I got banned because I'd accidentally had posted something that I wasn't thinking. It was about women. It was a little misogynistic, and it was a little, and I kind of slut shamed. I wasn't thinking correctly. I was comparing that one Ukrainian sniper, Pavlichenko, to your average, to your stereotype woman. And I wasn't thinking. And now that I look at it, yeah, it's slut shaming, and I feel horrible. Nothing I can do. But yeah, I don't go on r/full communism anymore. But you guys can go on r/Red Scare TV, post articles, and give me stuff to work on. I mean, I'm running out of ideas. I mean, I'm running out of ideas, and also, dealing with my depression, it's hard to just think of something else other than what's on my mind at the moment. What is the dumbest anti-communist conspiracy you ever heard of? Oh, so a while back, and this is like when I first started my YouTube channel. What had happened was these libertarians and these anarcho-capitalists, they had sent me this article that Lenin only started the revolution to get this just so that he can molest children. That is complete bullshit. And the thing is, there's an actual article written from like Germany or whatever, and it's actually like saying that. I mean, oh, and also I remember Caleb Maupin posted something a while back. What is it? That Stalin sent kids into space or something like that. Hang on, I'll look it up. Be right back. I can't find it on his feed at the moment, but it was essentially like a story, something like Stalin, shot like 20 million people or something into space. I mean, you can't. It takes a very, very imaginative mind to think of this stuff. What's your opinion on the bourgeois liberation groups like Slutwalks, Black Lives Matter, supporting cops? It's worthless trying to unite them. Well, because they're unable to see, well, okay, the cops are upholding the laws of a corrupt system. They don't see that, they're upholding the bourgeois system and the system that's against them. They're very idealist, in the sense that, they think they can reform something. They think they can actually do something. They can't do anything. Right here. Right here. The German ideology. One of my favorite quotes from the German ideology, and it's the most easiest to understand. Bags is actually my favorite book. Let me see if I can't find it. I think it's like page 20-something. Right here. This is, I think this is Engels writing. Thus, while the refugee serfs only wish to be free to develop and assert those conditions of existence which are already there, and hence, in the end, only arrived at free labor, the proletarians, if they are to assert themselves as individuals, but to abolish the very condition of their existence that has up until now, which is moreover has been all of society up until the present, namely labor. Thus, they find themselves directly opposed to the form of which hitherto individuals have given themselves collective expression, that is, the state. In order to assert themselves, they must overthrow the state. Let's see, Tartarum or whatever, I'll just call him the Roman Legionnaire. I don't know what to think. I can come off as a brocialist when it comes to feminism. I don't really like bourgeois feminism. Socialist feminists are rare for me to find IRL are okay with me. What do you mean you're a brocialist? Because, I mean, you don't exactly want to label yourself a brocialist, man. I mean, that's like calling yourself a tanky. Well, if you're not going to respond, there's another thing I've been having on my mind, and that is that there's been more than one American Revolution. I think I stated this in the last podcast. Believe it or not, there's probably been at least 3 American Revolutions. The American Revolution, I don't know what it's called abroad. I think it's something Civil War. What else? Then we had the War of 1812, which was very instrumental in breaking British ties. Then we have the Civil War, because in fact, if we look at it, for the Civil War, the Confederate Army had a high defection rate because no one wanted to fight the war. Slave labor was legit. Slave labor was driving down wages, and the people wanted to abolish it. That's why, you see in I think it's the Virginian Army, you have a 30% desertion rate. And in fact, British industrialists, fearing that they're going to lose their hold over Southern America, said, "Look, man, we can't be doing it. We have to revolt and arm against them." Is Anita Sarkeesian becoming a socialist? She says she's doing a bit on Emma Goldman. Socialist has a term that she's going to label herself as a socialist and just carry on as a liberal. In fact, I'm quoting a lot today. What can I say? Let me see. I have State and Revolution somewhere. I mean, opening sentence like State and Revolution. He's talking about right here. It's like the first chapter of State and Revolution. Lenin is talking about how where is it? Or is it hang on, is it left-wing communism? Yeah, it's State and Revolution. Right here. I really need to read State and Revolution again. Yeah, right here, he's saying now all the social chauvinists are now Marxists, joking aside. And he goes on to saying that, Marxism is being, distorted. I mean, she's using Emma Goldblum, and she's calling herself a Marxist, of which Emma was an anarchist. I mean, ever since the First International, we have both Marxism and anarchism been in each other's throats. I mean, yeah, I like to work with the anarchists, but it always ends up, ending badly. Let's see. Who's your favorite president? I don't really have a favorite president. I mean, I would say Lincoln, but then again, he was still working in the interests, the bourgeoisie. I might say Washington, but then again, he was part of the colonialist clique. But yeah, then again, he led the American Revolution, which was progressive for its time, but lost its point. I mean, I don't think at this point I support bourgeois feminists. They seem to make the majority. Okay, so I see you're coming from as bourgeois. Just don't label yourself as bourgeois. What do you think about this election? Do you think fascists are going to start revolting Trump's people? I mean, we had that little burst down, what was it, Oregon? I mean, they didn't really do anything. It was just like an armed Occupy Wall Street, if you will. I mean, and then they didn't really do anything. I mean, but if they were black, I mean, they're probably, the system would come down hard on them. Be right back, guys. I'm going to get some more water. Ask some more questions or debate within yourselves. I'll be right back. Exactly. They're not going to do anything. I mean, they're. I mean, you know, we have these like open fascists. I mean, I had seen that at like one of those a volunteer like thing where like you call in people to see if they are going to you call in to see if they're going to vote for Trump. Like they had like people there had like neo-Nazi imagery. I mean, like the cross with the circle around it. Now I know that's a cultural thing, and they completely perverted it. But I mean, he has these openly fascist people. It took him like what 2 days to announce the Klan. Um, and the thing is, these people aren't doing anything. Let's see. I'm curious. After revolution, what happens? Would it be crazy to tolerate most religions? Some religions and religious movements are compatible with Marxism and others. Well, I'm Mao. Again, as a Maoist, I'm going to bring up Mao. Here, hang on. I'll pull up an essay he wrote. And he makes a very good point. And hang on, Lucarius, I'll get to you. Let's see. It's where he's talking about dialectical materialism. Right here. It's a very short essay. Let's see. Yeah, and basically right here, he's saying the struggle between idealism and materialism cannot disappear as long as the classes continue to exist. So idealism, as in like religion, as long as the class system exists, religion will exist because the alienation felt by the workers. And the thing is, that's probably one of the reasons we're not feeling the alienation. The first world isn't feeling alienation like they are because the neo-materialist slash neo-atheist just sprung up. I wouldn't have to work. I want to work. I want to actually produce my means, my substance. But I don't have to work. I can go on welfare and just be lazy all day. Shit. One of the reasons we have welfare is to keep down crime. That's one of the main reasons we have welfare. Is not just to keep people so that they can still live, but to also so that they don't have crime. Because the thing is, if they can't get something they want, a commodity or something, what are they going to do? They're going to go out and they're going to steal it. So that's one of the reasons we have welfare. And I completely just lost what I was thinking. Would you feel badly if Teddy is my favorite? I know the things in Latin America are bad, but I like the story of his upbringing. He he's a staunch imperialist, man. I mean, I agree with Lincoln because I mean, in a way, he was a step forward for black liberation in a way. Although it wasn't really much because if you look at it, the black worker is nothing today has been reduced to nothing than what he was. I mean, back in what do you want to say? Back in like the days of slavery, because I mean, the prison industrial complex makes up for most black people. I mean, black Americans, and but in some prisons actually they don't even get paid for their labor. For like, cause they're making like chairs and stuff, whatever, and they don't ever they don't make anything. I mean, they are reduced to slave labor again. Have you ever smoked weed? What is your stances on related substances, i.e., cocaine, heroin, etc.? No, I have not. But I do see marijuana has a viable drug that can be used in the future. But within regulation, of course, with more research, we can probably get some really good usage out of it. Cocaine, I don't see any use in. My ex-girlfriend's uncle was a really, really bad meth addict. I mean, you'd walk by and you'd smell like maple syrup. And it didn't smell like good maple syrup. But I do think that marijuana does have some legal properties. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Israel, but the University of Israel has made some very groundbreaking work on marijuana. Um, CNN had run a story on it a while back, and they had mentioned the University of Israel. And I mean, stuff they're finding there is pretty cool. Weed is a 0, coke is a 4, heroin is suicide. Yeah. I'm actually drawing this out longer than I thought it would. Maybe I should just turn this into a Q&A session after every time I've just rambled on. Okay, guys. What is your favorite Marxist philosophers? Or thinkers, like, Gramsci, or you're like, your little, like, left ones, like James Conley, Antonio Gramsci, Ernst Thalmann, um, you know. The welfare state is, I haven't really looked into this much, but to me, the welfare state is, just post industrialism in action. I mean, without the jobs, people are going to get really pissed when they can't buy their new flat screen TV, man. So they're going to get real pissed when they can't buy like food, their flat screen TV, their shoes or something. So it's a complete reaction, all the jobs being outsourced, or if the company hasn't taken you to China already. Trotsky, I don't really know. I mean, if Lenin is to be believed about Trotsky, he never really held any Marxist views, and he was very opportunist. I mean, as soon as the Bolsheviks start winning, his tune changes quickly. He's like, "Oh, I want in on this." In fact, if you, I have to look for these, but if you read like some of like the reports from other like party members around the time, they didn't like Trotsky because they felt like this Napoleonistic, militaristic swagger in him, and it was really just a turnoff. Very authoritarian, in the words of Ludo Martins. Libertarians, what kind of libertarians? The actual libertarians, like the anarchists, or American libertarians? American libertarianism. Um, it's complete bullshit. I mean, Ayn Rand, um, let's see, Ayn Rand, I mean, you could consider her more of a libertarian, if you will. But the thing is, she was completely against American libertarianism. She hated Rothbard. They both had a bad rivalry going. There's a speech by Rothbard where he basically just flat out says that she had a very bad personality cult going on. This is outlined in a play he did. It's actually really funny. It's called Mozart Was a Red. And it outlines his first meeting with Ayn Rand. But the thing is that the Libertarian Party here, they conflate Ayn Rand and Murray Rothbard and all these libertarians, together, and it's like, yeah, they're fucking idiots. And really, if capitalism just takes a really bad turn again, they'll be used, to uphold it. James Connolly, sham fascism garners support, i.e. Irish volunteers that supported Franco. I haven't heard that. Can you send a link to that? I'd very much appreciate it. Wait a minute, Franco wasn't around yet. In fact, if I remember correctly, it was around like the start of World War I, right? Yeah, whatever his name is, the jumble of letters and numbers. In fact, one of the biggest, people like nationalities that sacrificed themselves, to my knowledge, in like the Spanish Civil War, was the Scots, next to the Americans from the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. Actually, I have a cousin who fought in the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. Carl Geiser, if you look him up. Well, let me post the link for some reason. Excuse me. What I guess you could do is like just remove the comma, the period from .com or whatever, and like space it out, and then I'll put it together, and I'll put it back together. You could try that. I have not seen LSR, but Scottish Socialist, he's pretty cool, but he doesn't really do anything. I think he has a lot of college work. I wouldn't really know his Malenkov's politics. I mean, I really looked into him, but you can't really judge him on anything because the thing is, you never really got to see what he did. Like, Khrushchev really stole the show, if you want to say that, for what do you want to say? For the Cold War. Libertarian Socialist France, he's okay. Scottish socialist is better. I mean, that's coming from my bias. I mean, I don't like anarchists. I mean, it's like if you look at Ukraine, it's like the Soviets were trying to be peaceful. They didn't want to. They were allowing these people, to freely express themselves. But it's like Machno was like, well, we're going to steal from your trains, and then then it creates the fight. Actually, I'm good friends with Jason. But the thing is like, going back to being banned from r/communism, we can't just go around banning each other. I mean, even if even if I hate your guts, you're still a comrade. You may not be a friend, but you're a comrade. I have to work with you, and I'm going to combat your liberalism, in the words of Mao. Because if we don't combat liberalism, and these people have these very dangerous attitudes or whatever, or and it ends up just being like cigarette smoke, a cigarette smoker. I mean, it harms. The cigarette is liberalism incarnate, and then it harms people with the secondhand smoke. So you gotta put an end to that. Basically, you can't just go and walk away, because then more and more people are going to get hurt, and then it's going to hurt our movement more and more. So I wouldn't know if r/communism is run by revisionists. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some revisionist admins. In fact, I think one of the admins is a Trotskyite, and I think another one is a self-proclaimed Jucheist. Hang on. Yeah, even after speaking out, well, let me post it. It was called the Irish Brigade. It was led by Oyen O'Duffy. Let me look that up. Yeah, I'll have to look him up later. r/communism or r/full communism. Are you banned from both? I would agree we need a united front of some kind to divide and conquer. It only hurts us and alienates our potential comrades. Just r/full communism. R/communism is still on there. But I don't like the idea of a united front. A united front should only be used by the left only in times of desperation, of when there is no real communist movement, and the left is in shambles in general. Because the thing is, a united front with anarchists is really stupid when there's not a real immediate threat. I mean, they're directly opposed to us, much like a fascist is, in the sense, they want to abolish the state and we want to establish the state. I mean, that's two opposing ideas going right there. Many on r/full communism and other subs call MRN a brocialist. What's your take? Well, he's a feminist. I mean, I don't support the idea that. I think it just comes from the fact that he once said that imperialism should be the primary contradiction. Khrushchevism? Actually, I had written a thing about Khrushchevism a while back, and I'm going to publish it soon in a free ebook. But Khrushchevism, I mean, I used to be a Khrushchevist. The problem with it is that it's very static, and it's, in a way, it's removed from Marxism in the sense of dialectical materialism. Like, yeah, it holds up Marxism-Leninism and all this. The thing is, Marxism-Leninism isn't this quote-unquote immortal science. It's science, so therefore it's bound to change and have to change. I mean, just like how Marxism, Orthodox Marxism, is outdated, we now have Marxism-Leninism, Maoism, which should replace Marxism-Leninism. But the thing is, this whole thing, it's like, it's the conservative, they are the conservatives in our movement. That's how I think of it. Favorite Roman emperor? Julius Caesar. I mean, despite him being a dictator, he was very kind to the poor, and I think that's one of the reasons he got killed. 3 days ago? Thousands of years ago? And I think that's one of the reasons he got killed, other than the fact the Senate wanted to restore democracy. Although I doubt there was really any real democracy there. I mean, like, come on, you had a very, rich, slave society going on there, man. I don't know a lot about Constantine, actually. There's a lot of things I want to discuss about, and there's a lot of things I still got to learn about, and all these, like, rebel groups here, the Sandistas. Let me look at that real quick. I'll get a first impression. Let's see, according to Wikipedia, I don't exactly know what to make of Wikipedia on this. Authoritarian socialism. Of course, it's not cited. Social democracy and Marxism. It's a little contradictory. I mean, social democrats, kind of killed Rosa Luxemburg. Left-wing nationalism. Okay, yeah, left-wing nationalism. I mean, there's nothing wrong with nationalism. I mean, it can unite a country. Hang on. Oh, man. You guys, hang on. Let me do something real quick. Hang on. I gotta change the settings for something on the chat so that you guys don't get banned. Alright, I'm back. Live chat just, gave out a little bit. Um, Hang on. Let me see. Open up the sync. Always. Hang on. I'm seeing your link on full communism, though my internet's slow because I'm running this podcast, so it might take a while. That's not coming up. Let's see. Alright. I would think I'll make a video discussing the Sandinistas. I might in the future, I can learn more about them. But right now, they seem like a pretty okay leftist group. Alright, I'll take 3 more questions, and I'm calling it quits for the night. Nothing. Well,